And now, welcome to this session.
This session explores how design thinking's human-centered approach can create more precise, user-focused requirements, improving development efficiency, and aligning solutions with both user needs and business goals through empathy, creativity, and iterative testing. Our speaker brings 11 years of experience as a design lead and 7 years in agile methodology. From real estate platforms to AR and VR experiences, he's tackled diverse UI, UX projects. To discuss the value of design thinking in development, let's give it up for Product Design Service Manager at StratPoint Technologies, Mr. Jaed Del Moro.
All right. Hello, everyone. Um, can everybody see my screen? Let me just, there you go. All right. Hello, everyone. I know it's been a long day of virtual sessions, and I'm the last thing standing between you and your well deserved break. So let's make this worthwhile. If you're feeling a bit tired, stick around because what I'm about to share could be a game changer for your projects or businesses. Design thinking isn't just a trendy buzzword, it's an essential part of the development process that you can't afford to overlook. It's not just about saving money, it's about discovering innovative solutions that can elevate your work. Trust me, you'll be surprised at how embracing design thinking can transform your projects and lead to results you never thought possible. So grab your coffee, get comfy, and let's dive in. To introduce myself, I'm Jade Del Moral, Product Design Service Manager at StratPoint Technologies. I've spent 18 years in the design industry, with 9 of those years dedicated to UI UX work on apps, website, and even VR and AR interfaces. On the industrial design side, I've had the chance to work on everything from smart TVs to custom electronics, furniture, and point of sale displays. Bridging the gap between digital and physical design has been an exciting challenge, and it's given me a broad view of how design can drive innovations across the various fields. I'm excited to share some of those perspectives with you today. Let's dive into some of the common challenges we face in development. First up is scope expansion or scope creep beyond our initial requirements and plans. We've all been there. What starts as a simple project suddenly balloons into something much bigger. And before we know it, we're juggling too many moving parts. This is a common challenge across many projects. While I can't point to a single example, but based on our experience with design thinking initiatives, I can confidently say that when applied correctly, development becomes more efficient and the need for additional or changes in requirements are significantly minimized. Then we have the issues of inaccurate and then we have the issues of inaccurate user story estimations. This is often where things start to go off track. The team tends to either overestimate or underestimate the requirements because we lack the necessary context. When most people can visualize the business intentions behind the project, it leads to confusion and divergent expectations. At StratPoint, as a software service provider, this is relevant during project scoping and proposals. Our chance our chances of securing the project increases significantly when we present a clear concept and a well-defined roadmap with timelines giving clients confidence in our ability to deliver. Let's address another critical issue: time misalign team misalignment and communication gaps. When team members aren't on the same page, confusion and frustration can quickly set in. Everyone ends up working with different assumptions and priorities, which can lead to duplicated efforts or even overlooked tasks. In my early days in software development, our product team would collaborate with clients to create concepts. However, when it came to hand these items off to the development team, the concepts often ended up being too complex or impractical. This led to client frustrations and cost delays as we had to go back and forth for approvals. Another pain point is dealing with obsolete features due to shifting requirements. In a fast paced environment, it's easy for things to change, but when that happens, we can end up wasting time on features that no longer align with user needs. In my previous company, we followed an agile approach. There was a time after a few sprints when a new requirement was introduced. Unfortunately, this new requirement rendered several already developed features obsolete. To make things worse, we needed two additional sprints to complete the MVP, but the go live date was non negotiable. This forced the team into long hours and weekend work, exhausting everyone and severely limiting our capacity to take on other projects. And all of this ultimately leads to increased time and effort, which, as you might guess, drives up costs. The lesser value given to design thinking, the more we miscalculate, the more resources we waste, and often stretching beyond the original budget and timelines. This is not only impact the project, but also the team's morale and the client's trust. So, how do we tackle these challenges? Let me walk you through some strategies in the next slides and show you how you can avoid these pitfalls and deliver projects more effectively. So, what is design thinking? Design thinking is a dynamic and iterative process that seeks to deeply understand the user, challenge exist challenge existing assumptions, and redefine problems in ways that allows us to discover innovative solutions. The goal is to uncover strategies and ideas that aren't immediately obvious. Especially when we first approach a problem, it's not just about fixing issues. It's about exploring the best possible solution, often revealing options that we wouldn't have considered with our initial level of understanding. In essence, design thinking offers a solution oriented and human-centric way to tackle challenges creatively and efficiently. So how does this process work? It begins with discovery, a crucial phase that when we immerse ourselves in the problem space, we engage directly with users, businesses, and industry experts, gaining valuable insights into their needs, pain points, and desires. As the saying goes, you can't fix what you don't understand. This hands-on exploration allows us to dig deeper, identifying hidden factors that might not be immediately visible from a surface level analysis. By talking to users and stakeholders, we uncover real world insights that guide the entire process. Once we've gathered enough information, we move on to defining the problem. This step is all about ensuring we're addressing the right challenges. It's easy to jump into um, solving things without fully understanding what's at the core. But as they say, a good diagnosis is half the cure. By clearly defining the issue, we set ourselves up for success, targeting the root causes rather than just the symptoms. This phase also allows us to align the team's understanding, ensuring everyone is on the same page before moving forward. Now that we know what the problem is, we move into ideation, which is where creativity comes to the forefront in this phase. No idea is too wild or impractical. Brainstorming is all about generating a broad range of ideas because the best way the best way to have a good idea is to have a lot of them. It's during this phase that we push boundaries, explore new possibilities, and come up with both innovative and practical solutions that might not have been immediately apparent. From ideation, we transition into prototyping. This is where we create wireframes or mockups, low cost, tangible representation of our ideas. These prototypes aren't meant to be final versions of the product, but rather early stage models that allows us to visualize the solution and test how it might work in the real world. Think of these as rough drafts that reflect the core functionality of the product, helping us to quickly identify what works and what doesn't. After prototyping, we enter the testing phase. Here we gather feedback from users and stakeholders, which is crucial to the process. As the saying goes, the customer isn't always right, but their feedback is invaluable. Testing allows us to evaluate how well our solutions meet the needs we identified earlier. It's a chance to iterate and refine, talking, um, taking user inputs and making adjustment to improve the product before full development begins. Feedback helps us eliminate guesswork and focus on what truly matters, saving time and resources in the long run. Excuse me. Finally, after we've iterated and refined based on what we've learned, we start the development process. But we don't stop there. We eagerly anticipate the essential data on the product's performance and user experience while we set the stage for the next phase of the development. This data driven approach ensures we're always improving and adapting the product, making it more aligned with both user needs and business goals. In short, design thinking is just a process. It's it's in short, design thinking is not just a process, it's a mindset. It enables us to solve problems in a way that puts the user first, challenges our assumptions, and leads to innovations, effective solutions that are grounded in real world insights. Let's explore these three methodologies that have significantly inspired my design career. First is human centered design, or HCD. This is a design methodology that focuses on understanding the needs, preferences, and behaviors of the people who will use a product or service. It involves engaging with user throughout the design process, ensuring their insights shape the solution being developed. IDEO is widely recognized for pioneering HCD, showcasing how prioritizing user experiences and feedbacks can lead to innovative and effective design solutions across various industries. The methodology is actually the foundation of design thinking and was the first design approach we used when we are creating the smart TV and other point of sale products. Then we have Lean UX. This is the design methodology that emphasizes collaboration, rapid experimentation, and user feedback to create effective solutions. In my early days in UX design, we adopted this approach to achieve a more efficient process, as design thinking can often take a long time. By focusing on building minimum viable products, measuring user interactions, and learning from the results, team can quickly iterate and align with designs closely with user needs. And the last methodology is design sprint, which intrigued us with its promise to condense the design process into a focused, time limited framework, typically lasting just 5 days. It became a trending approach that we decided to try it out. And I must say, it turned out to be a fantastic process, allowing us to rapidly prototype solutions and gather valuable user feedback in just a week. At StratPoint, we've effectively combined these three methodologies to develop an ideal service for our clients. By integrating the human centered approach of HCD with the efficiency of Lean UX, and the engaging activities and workshops of Design Sprint, we've created a service that truly meets the needs of our customers. To better understand the profound impact of design thinking, let me offer you an analogy. Imagine the development process as building a house. In a traditional approach, the architect receives the initial instructions from the homeowners: number of rooms, square footage, basic layout, and designs the house based on these initial inputs. They present technical drawings and blueprints, which might look great on paper, and the construction begins. But what happens if halfway through the build, the homeowner realizes they need another room for a home office or a nursery? Adding that room in this stage would not only result into extra cost and delays, but could also disrupt the house's layout, leading to structural issues and compromising the overall design. Now let's look at how this process would unfold with design thinking as its core. Instead of just instead of just taking instruction at face value, the architect would work closely with the homeowners right from the start. They'd spend time really diving into the family's lifestyle, understanding their current needs, but also exploring their future plans. What do they envision? What do they envision their family looking like 5 or 10 years? How do they plan to use their space? Their approach might even involve chatting with the children to get a sense of their preferences for play areas or rooms of their own. The architect also collaborates closely with engineers and construction experts from the onset, ensuring that the designs aren't just aesthetically pleasing but structurally sound and feasible. Rather than relying on static drawings, the architect might use 3D models or virtual walkthroughs, allowing the homeowners to walk through the household before construction begins. This provides an opportunity to gather immediate feedback and make adjustment before any bricks are laid. For instance, instead of rigidly defining the number of rooms up front, design thinking facilitates deeper conversations. Do the homeowners plan to have more kids? Do they need an office or a hobby room in the future? These questions help the architect design a home with flexible spaces, such as a room that could serve as an office now and later convert into a nursery or guest room, allowing them to meet future demands without major renovations. By taking this thoughtful iterative approach, the architect can ensure that the house not only meets the family current needs but also accommodates their future growth and lifestyle changes. This results in fewer costly changes down the road, less disruption during construction, and most importantly, a house that truly reflects the evolving needs and aspirations of the family. In the long run, this process saves both time and money while delivering a more satisfying and customized living space. Now, let's dive into the benefits of design thinking and how it completely reshapes and elevates our development process. First, First and foremost, design thinking enables us to clearly define the most valuable and ideal features of the business. Of the business requirements from the very beginning. It's not just about collecting a laundry list you want. By talk, it's not just about collecting a laundry list of wants. By talking directly to users and collaborating with experts, we gain a thorough understanding of the core needs. This ensures that all stakeholders are aligned on what truly matters, rather than us merely guessing or assuming what they want. The result, we're all on the same page from day one, which sets the foundation for smoother, more focused development. Secondly, Design thinking allows us to visualize and assess product requirements in ways that are easily digestible for everyone involved. It's not just a technical blueprint or a set of abstract specification. We create tangible, often visual representation that help paint a clear picture of what the end product will look like and how it will function. This holistic approach bridges gaps between business goals, design intent, and technical execution, fostering an environment where collaboration thrives. By aligning these key areas early on, we dramatically cut down on the back and forth that typically happens in endless refinement sessions. This leads to a more efficient workflow where fewer revisions are needed and development can move forward without getting stuck in cycles of rework. One of the greatest advantages, however, is that design thinking significantly reduces assumption throughout the process. Instead of making educated guesses about what might work, we validate ideas and concepts early on by gathering feedback directly from the users. This approach gives us real data to work with, ensuring that our decisions are informed and grounded in actual user experiences rather than hunches. By continuously validating our designs, we were able to catch potential issues before they evolve into bigger problems down the line, ultimately leading to a more streamlined and effective development process. In essence, design thinking is about more than just solving problems. It's about clarity, alignment, and validation of every step. It makes sure that everyone involved, from the business stakeholders to the technical teams, it is moving forward the same goal. And doing so, it not only make our projects more successful, but also turns the entire process into a more rewarding and enjoyable experience for everyone involved. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to dive into how we can make your development process not only more efficient, but also ensure that the product you deliver remains user centric and fully aligned with business requirements. This is key to building something that meets real needs while optimizing the resources and time spent in development. Now, imagine we're kicking off a new project in agile development. The very first step in to is to enter a design thinking phase that typically spans between 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the scope and complexity of the project. This isn't just about solving immediate problems. It's about creating a vision that of for where your product should be in the long run. Let's say, for instance, 2 years down the line. What will your product look like by then? What core problems will it solve? We begin by developing a high level concept and identifying the essential features that will form the foundation of your minimum viable product. The aim is to distill your product down to its most impactful elements and refine them so that they were they are strong enough to provide value from day one. Once we have this refined list of features, we reach out to both actual users and stakeholders to gather feedback. This feedback is invaluable because it gives us real world insights into what works and what doesn't, ensuring that we're building something both users and business truly needs. This process helps us shape a clear and strategic roadmap that starts with the MVP and guides us all the way to the fully realized version of the product, the one that reflects your long term vision. With that solid plan in hand, we can finally jump into the development of the MVP. We'll follow a typical agile sprint process, breaking the work into manageable chunks and continuously improving with each iteration. However, one important point here is to make sure you integrate analytics from the very beginning. Having analytics embedded in the product will allow us to gather vital insights into how users are interacting with the MVP and how well it's performing. It also helps us measure user experience through key metrics, such as how many users are completing actions, where they might be dropping off, or how they're engaging with the product overall. A few weeks before the MVP launch, the product team can kick off the second phase of design thinking. During this phase, we dive back into ideation, refinement, and validation. It's about taking what we've learned so far and using that information to iterate and make improvements. The idea is to continuously move the product closer to the long term vision while still keeping the immediate needs in focus. In the second phase of development, after the MVP has launched, we'll start collecting valuable data. We'll track key performance indicators like error rates, churn rates, and conversion rates. These insights are critical because they provide a clear picture of how the product is performing in the real world, and they'll serve as a foundation for determining what features need to be prioritized in the future releases. Armed with this data, we can fine tune our product backlog to ensure it reflects the most pressing needs of both the users and the business. Finally, we'll continue to iterate through these cycles, refining, testing, and improving until we reach our ideal product. But that work doesn't stop there. This is an ongoing process, and it's vital to keep iterating to ensure the product remains relevant. Excuse me. The product remains relevant, meets changing user needs, and staying competitive in the market. By continuously improving and updating based on the real world feedback, you'll not only build a great product but also stay ahead of your competition. Let me share a few of our case studies at StratPoint. About a year ago, after COVID, we had one of our first design thinking engagement with back end operational system of the SM Malls app, a platform that later won an award for its overall excellence. The client faced a variety of issues, all stemming from inefficient manual processes. Their operations, their operations team had to manually track and tag orders, text or call tenants to check the status of orders, and manage hundreds of tenants' products without any automation in place. On top of that, there was no notification system in place for tenants to be alerted for new orders, which caused unnecessary delays and added to the operational workload. Our goal was to create a centralized and seamless e commerce management platform to solve these pain points. We implemented several key solutions, such as adding real time notification and alerts for tenants, providing visibility into other fulfillment status, and eliminating most of the manual steps involved in tracking orders. The focus was on making the system as simple and intuitive as possible, with optimal steps for each task to enhance efficiency and user experience. To support this, we developed journey maps to understand the workflow, a story map to capture the big picture, and high fidelity prototypes that we tested with real users to validate our designs. This comprehensive design thinking process not only solved the client's challenges but also helped streamline their operations, contributing to the app's success and recognition. Next would be let me share an intriguing case study that took us deep into the realm of employee engagement. We've developed an all-in-one employee platform focused on announcement and newsletters, with the goal of transitioning internal communication into a more engaging experience for staff members. Initially, we discovered that many employees were not interacting with company newsletters and announcements sent via email. Their busy schedules often led to these communications being deprioritized. Furthermore, some employees expressed feelings of disconnect and lack of community within the organization, which contributed to their disinterest in posting or engaging with the content. However, the issues extended beyond low engagement levels. Our research revealed that information distributed was uneven across regions, and the abstract of a centralized platform resulted in confusion. Multiple portals existed, making it difficult for employees to stay informed about updates from the other branches or regions within the company. To address these challenges, we designed a social media style platform where employees could share events and best practices, allowing colleagues from around the world to learn from each other. We incorporated group features similar to popular social media platforms, fostering interaction among employees with shared interests. To capture employees' attention, we transformed corporate newsletters and announcement into eye-catching ad-like formats, reminiscent of content seen on their favorite social media sites. Utilizing the design thinking process, we ensured a seamless user experience that kept employees connected to a larger community by creating journey maps, user flows in both low and high fidelity wireframes. We developed a platform that not only conveyed essential information but also encouraged meaningful interaction among employees, ultimately enhancing their sense of belonging and engagement within the company. As we move to our last case study, I want to share a final example that truly highlights the transformative power of design thinking. This project involved a complete overhaul of a website for a publicly owned real estate company, which serves as a critical resource of potential investors seeking to make informed decisions about their investments. The website's primary purpose is to inform investors, but we quickly discovered that it needed significant improvement to better fulfill this role. The existing site struggled with several key issues. Updating information was cumbersome, making it difficult to keep content current and relevant. Navigation posed a challenge for users who found it hard to locate necessary information efficiently. Additionally, the website's aesthetics felt outdated and did not reflect the professionalism of the brand. Redundant features cluttered the interface, resulting in poor information presentation. To tackle these challenges, we developed a comprehensive design solution aimed at creating a fresh, professional aesthetic that aligns with the company's branding. Our focus was to organize information in a logical sequence that catered to user goals, ensuring that investors could easily find what they needed. We prioritize clear and efficient navigation and work closely with both the business and tech teams to ensure the technical elements supported an improved user experience. Our design outputs include detailed user journey maps to analyze interactions, wireframes to visualize the new layout, and prototype to functionality testing. We also conducted user testing to gather valuable feedback, excuse me, allowing us to refine our design effectively. Finally, we compiled a design summary document that encapsulated our findings and proposed solution. Through this design thinking approach, we transform the website into a user friendly platform that effectively communicates essential information to investors, empowering them to make informed decisions with confidence. This case study exemplifies how thoughtful design can elevate your experiences and drive meaningful engagement. As we conclude, let's recap the essential points we've covered today. First, by integrating design thinking, you can save on development costs through more efficient use of resources, time, and effort. Next, we discussed how design thinking helps to improve development efficiency while minimizing scope creep, ensuring that your project stays on track. With clear requirements in place, you can achieve better estimation, reducing surprises down the line. We walk through the five critical stages of design thinking: discover, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Each stage is pivotal in creating a user centered product that aligns with business goals. Additionally, it's crucial to create a vision or goal for your product. Then iterate as you go along to refine and enhance its features. Integrating analytics into the product allows you to gather essential data that can be used to continuously improve your offering and stay ahead of your competitors. Finally, remember that UI UX is not optional. It's an essential part of development. Emphasizing design thinking will not only enhance your user experience, but also drive the success of your projects. I just Googled the quote and found this awesome one from Ralph Smith. If you think good design is expensive, you should look at the cost of bad design. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you found these insights valuable.
All right, thank you, Sir Jade, for your presentation. So I'm seeing a lot of emojis, your hearts, the claps. Thank you so much to our audience for showing appreciation to our speaker. So we have a lot of questions for you here, sir, to go over. So let me start with the first one. This is from Colleen Alejandrino. So the question is, what strategies can be implemented to effectively manage and prevent scope creep in development or project management?
Uh, well, is that aside from design thinking um, or specific to what I've discussed?
I think, sir, it's more
Effectively
specific to what
manage
we
and
discussed.
prevent scope creep. Well, from my experience, it's scope creep um, comes if we started a development project with an incomplete set of requirements or like super high level requirements. So the value of our design thinking is we have high level vision already of the product. So as we go along, we already have requirements or features that is aligned to what is currently developed. So ideally, coming up with other wild ideas or other needs that is aside from what is currently developed would be prevented because from the start before development would ideally start, it's all been planned already or conceptualized. Sorry, I hope I answered your question.
All right. Thank you, Sir Jade. Yes, there's a follow-up. Yes, she said specifically on design thinking. So I think you answered her question. So moving on to the next one. This is from Isa Pearl Santos. So the question is, how can ideation be used to identify and mitigate risk early in the development process? And what are the benefits of considering potential challenges and risks during the ideation process?
During the ideation phase, Let me just read it again quick. How can ideation be used to identify and mitigate risk early in the development process? And what are benefits of considered potential challenges and risk during the ideation phase? Okay. Well, I guess the first question, just to clarify, ideation process is not really meant to mitigate risk in the development. It's just to clarify, ideation is meant to come up with a concept of the product. So mitigating risk in the development would be I guess totally different process. But um, what I'm discussing right now is if the concept is clear before development, the development would be more efficient because everyone is aligned, everyone knows what to do. For example, we're creating MVP phase. Those features um, are locked, and probably the assumption would be there would be minimal scope creep of, or if ever we would like to change it along the way. Um, so, and of course, in ideation, sorry, can you put the question again, Camille? The second part of the question is there, thanks. And what about the benefits of considering potential challenges and risks during ideation phase? All right. So during actually, if risk in general, it could actually be used as well for design thinking because I guess if the question is to avoid risk during the development or mitigate them, we could actually use design thinking for that. But if the question is about creating a product, a better product, and a more efficient development process, um, ideation would be a great process to again make the process more efficient. Again, I hope I answered the question.
All right, thank you, Sir Jade. So the next question is from Pat de Borja. So the question is, what are some measurable outcomes that demonstrate the value of using design thinking in product development?
Well, um, our like I mentioned a while ago, before during the design thinking, we will be coming up with metrics. For example, um, number of registrations. For example, number of sales. Basically, it ends up to the business goals that will be defined during the design thinking phase. So if those metrics would be successful, definitely the process of design thinking is successful.
All right, thank you, Sir Jade. So the next question is from Maron Montano. So the question is, how does the design thinking paradigm 6 steps fit into a Scrum setting? Example, 2 weeks iterations.
2 weeks iteration design thinking. For the Scrum, design thinking paradigm, 6 steps. It's a design. Are you referring to a sprint? So design thinking in 2 weeks, is that it? Paradigm steps. Actually, in our process, we have 2 weeks or 4 weeks engagement. So normally, our 2 week engagement would range if we have like if we would just come up with an MVP product. But in the case, there would be multiple. If, for example, there would be an app, a website, a backend portal, a CMS, or whatever, we would gonna require more time to come up with those warframes. So what we're doing really is the actually the ones that taking more time is about creating warframes and prototypes. So the more apps or website or channels that we're building, the more time it would take us to validate it for our user testing. So I guess 2 weeks would be ideal for an MVP. So That's it.
All right, thank you, Sir Jade. So the next question is from Diane May Ramos. So the question is, what metrics can be used to measure the impact of design thinking on development outcomes?
What metrics can be used to measure the impact of design thinking on development outcomes? Well, I guess top of mind would be the number of um, scope creep. So if you would compare a development or a sprint before design thinking and compare it with the design thinking with the sprint with design thinking, you could actually measure the number of scope requirements additional, or what else? I guess the number of times that I guess refinement sessions or alignment with the devs, because most of the time if requirements are not clear, time would be spent to alignment rather than actual development. Um, what else? I guess that would be the two that I can think top of my mind.
All right, thank you, Sir Jade. So, moving on to our next question. This is from Isa Pearl Santos. So, the question is, how can design thinking be integrated into agile development methodologies?
Ah, okay. Well, integrated. Well, what we're doing right now is before we start development, we already start conceptualization, more on high level only. And during the development or during the agile for each and every sprints, we actually refine requirements. So, for example, the we came up with a high level concept already for MVP. So we came up with epics already. So during the development, so we would still have that sprint zero. For prioritization, we would define all our features already for sprint one, and that's the time we refine all those requirements for our product backlog. So ideally, we complete all the requirements in advance before every sprint. So, well, I guess in reality, it doesn't really happen, but in our best effort for us, it would be nice. In our experience, normally it's parallel for the first 1 to 2 sprints, but as we go along, we have more time to refine it, and ideally, the product team create requirements ahead of each and every sprint.
All right, thank you, Sir Jade. So, let's go on to our next question. This is from Rachel Ann Carrillo. So, the question is, how can we ensure our prototypes effectively communicate our ideas to stakeholders?
Okay. Uh, Prototypes. Okay. Well, just to clarify, well, I guess prototypes in our case, we use it to validate the concept um, from actual users, and we actually use it to present it to the stakeholders. So normally, what we do is we test it out first with stakeholders. So we don't really once we create a prototype, we don't present it directly to stakeholders immediately. What we do is we have a user testing initially. We get feedback from the users, and then from those feedback, we iterate and refine the design, and then that's the time we present it to the stakeholders to get their feedback. So
All
I
right,
guess, sorry, just to add, that would actually give a better chance of convincing or getting the concept approved because we already have data from the user testing.
All right, thank you, Sir Jade. So we have another question from Isa Pearl. So he has a lot of questions for you. So I think this is his third question for you, sir. So
Okay.
the third question from Isa would be, how can design thinking be used to ensure alignment between development teams and internal clients? What strategies can be used to bridge communication gaps and foster understanding?
Okay. Well, For our design thinking, or the one that we came up here at StratPoint, our process always we start with the discovery phase. The discovery phase, that's the time we actually talk to our clients, stakeholders, experts. We get all the insights, identify problems, and whatever relevant information we could use. And then after that, during our work or ideation part, we actually involve stakeholders. So in our engagement, normally we have a PO or a decision maker, and then with them are stakeholders that basically could influence their decision with approvals. So the reason we have them together with us during ideation is to make approvals more efficient, because they're basically part of what we're doing. So once once the idea has been set, we create prototypes, again, test it out, um, get it validated from users, iterate it, and then present it to them. So as you can see, it we have the stakeholders are part of our process all the way. But actually, we strategically um, set meetings with them, and that would not really hinder their daily activities in their work. So I guess that would be why we're efficient in our design thinking process.
All right, thank you, Sir Jade, and thank you, Isa, for your question. So, we have another question here from Justin de la Cruz. So, the question is, how does design thinking enable small teams to identify and prioritize user needs effectively when working on multiple projects simultaneously?
Working on multiple projects simultaneously, how does design thinking enable small teams user needs effectively when working on multiple okay. Well, if you are assuming assigned to one product or one brand or one company, um, it's not just about user needs. It's all about, of course, your team, your capacity, your basically um, what the team can do or resources have. Of course, second would be the user needs. Sorry, let me just read if I how does enable teams identify, prioritize user needs effectively when working project. Okay. Um, when you're working multiple project, ideally you need to um have one set. If you're just like one team, enable small team. Okay, if you're just working with one team, ideally you need to keep all the teams together. Basically, what I'm saying is finish one project first on a high level, identify features that would be gonna be created for the warframes, and then move on to the next. What you can do is you can leave someone to work with the details as you go along, and then move on to the next project. And then once those warframes are done from the first, that initial designer can join the team again, and then so on and so forth as you complete all the projects. Sorry, I hope I answered your question. But that's
I think
basically what we did before.
All right, sir. So, moving on to our next question. This is from Diane May Ramos. So, the question is, what are some common challenges when implementing design thinking in a traditional development environment?
Okay. Well, I guess I actually have a lot of experience with that. Normally, challenges is well, I guess first and foremost, they feel that design thinking is like how would you call it? Uh, Cosmetic. So basically, it's just to make the website or app pretty. And they feel that it's not really necessary for the development. So I guess that would be the first. Second would be since well, most of our clients already know what they want, so they just um, want to develop it immediately. So they just want something. Basically, they want their idea to be developed. So it's, I guess what I'm saying is, it's more of just following what they want, following the client's requirements, and then just executing it. So basically, that's not about design thinking. It's about just creating workframes for them. And this, I guess, another one would be another challenging, or of course, yung the time of our clients. Most of our clients don't really have time to participate in our activities and processes, so that's really challenging. So it, instead of having a design thinking, it's more of like proposing a concept to them. And of course, as we all know, if um that would be like hit, or it's like, it's like you have a 50-50 chance of um, getting the concept approved. So unlike what we're doing right now, we're making them part of the team, or of creating the concept. But if you would be creating the concept and then letting them approve it, so um, it's basically, you need to read their mind on what they think, because in that case they would be the one, the approval would be more subjective. So it's basically what they envisioned. Is it aligned to what they envisioned, rather than what the actual user and business needs?
All right, thank you, Sir Jade. So, another question from Chris Manalastas. So, the question is, how can we balance user needs with business goals and encourage teamwork while supporting our design thinking efforts?
Okay. How can we balance user needs with business goals and encourage teamwork? Um, well, I guess the fastest way to go, for example, you already have a product in place, it's basically getting feedback from users. Basically, that's the fastest way you can get. And then from there, um, sharing it with everyone and aligning that this is what the user wants, so this is something that we should do. um, and then second would be, if you're starting from scratch, it's basically involving everyone, the devs, the techs, the product business. And of course, if you have experts depending on your product, it would be nice to have someone to give advice, to get advice from. And then probably um, last would be, when it comes to refinement ideation, it's best to get everyone's opinion on board, so it gives the sense of they're being part of creating the concept and being part of the team, basically.
All right, thank you, Sir Jade. So, our next question is from Stephen Separa. So, the question is, in the overview, how is this significantly different from the usual software development lifecycle and or agile framework?
In the overview, let me just check it. Overview, well, it's basically that. It's basically the agile cycle. Or what I just added there is, the design thinking starts before developing that set of features. So like I mentioned, um, refine the requirements first before starting the MVP, and then before starting phase two, refine the requirements first, and then of course, um, so on and so forth. So basically, it's the same. I just emphasized the importance of having a clear vision and requirements before starting development would be beneficial for the business and the product.
All right, thank you, Sir Jade. So I think we can accommodate one last question. So I'm afraid that our time is
Yeah, sure,
almost
go.
up. So the last question would be from an anonymous attendee. So the question is, ideally, everyone on your team is expected to adopt design thinking, but in reality, that is difficult to achieve. In this case, who or which role is expected to enforce or govern design thinking in the development team?
Well, design thinking. Well, again, as I mentioned a while ago, it's a mindset. It's aside from being a process. Um, it's not really um supposed to be imposed that everyone should be part of the design thinking. It's it's basically having that mindset that whatever we are creating, we have in our minds that we're doing this for the user, of course, the business, and what is the our technical capacity of creating this one. So that's basically, I guess, the first would be to get everyone aligned. It's in my previous in my early days of UI UX. What we do is we create requirements or designs, then we get it approved to our clients, and then we pass it on to the devs. Like I mentioned earlier, that is really tedious because once the concept gets approved, the devs would say that's not possible, it's too complicated, it would take a lot of time, blah blah blah. So we have to do the entire thing again. So that's why we came up with our design process where we involve the development team or the technical team, and of course the business or the product team as well. So basically, enforcing it, it's not really it's not a must, but it's more of inspiring everyone that they are part of the team and that we're doing something for the user and for the business.
All right. Thank you, Sir Jade, for answering the questions, and thank you to our attendees for sending your very wonderful questions to our speaker. So I hope you enjoyed this session. So I'm afraid our time is up. So if you enjoyed this session, you may please give your rating and share your feedback. You'll find the link in the chat box. So again, let's thank Sir Jade for his wonderful presentation. I see many hearts and cheers here, so thank you so much for sending your appreciation. So, well, that's the last session for the day. So it has been a great time learning with you all. So I hope to see you all tomorrow. So bye, everyone.
Thanks everyone, bye.